I smoked weed with Tupac Shakur. I've got that claim to fame.
Did you actually? Like
Yeah,
that's
we shared
wow.
a studio with Digital Underground back in the like it was like 1989, 90. I was pretty young, and yeah, he was down there with Humpty Hump and all those guys. Yeah,
Holy
cool guy.
shit.
Smoked a lot of weed, that's for sure.
Just like in the studio, would you just like walk in, introduce yourself?
Well, we would see him all the time because it was at Jackson Street Studios, and they had the big room, so that because they had because they had their whole choreography thing going on and everything. So they had this lounge area with like a bar where everybody would go and hang out, and everybody would be passing around DVDs and everything. And yeah,
Wow.
he was cool. It was before he was a big superstar, but we all knew who he was.
That must be crazy looking back at that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
what he turned into and everything, and everything that happened with his death. Like
Did they just find out who? I read something that they found out who killed him. I don't know.
they did, yeah.
Is
Took him
he
long enough.
was he arrested or anything or?
I think I think he was arrested. I saw the article.
Mm,
Um I didn't really look into it. I just know he was caught. Like he's under custody
damn,
or
yeah,
in
you're right.
custody.
Took him long enough. It's fucking weird. You got to think that a lot of people must have known who did it, and it took him long enough to come forward.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this is pretty awesome. I'm glad to be talking to you. Um, we have a lot to talk about. I definitely want to talk some thrash metal. I would love to know what your introduction to that genre was.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm happy to, proud to say that I saw Metallica in 1982, one of their very, very first shows ever. I think I was 15 years old, and a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine came to told me that you got to come see this band. They're the fastest band in the world. That's how they explained it to me, and so I was like, fuck yeah! So we went to this Monday night, Metal Monday in San Francisco, and Exodus was opening, and this band
Wow.
called Monolith played second, and Metallica played last. There was not even 50 people there, and
Wow.
they just fucking blew my mind. It changed my life, big time. I had just seen Van Halen in concert, one of my first concerts, and I pretty much stopped listening to Van Halen after I saw Metallica, you know, and everything changed. And the weird thing is, I started couple years later, well, actually like 1985, I started. I was going out with James Hetfield's girlfriend's best friend, so we got pretty close there for a little while, and he came to all the first Defiance shows and everything, and gave me
Wow.
some advice. I used to pick him up at the airport, and which is pretty cool. And now he's like this fucking mega superstar, and everybody talks shit about Metallica now, but they pioneered and innovated the whole scene, as far as I'm concerned.
Game
And
changing.
Exodus, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that with Dave when you saw them?
Oh yeah, of course. And Ron
Yeah.
McGovney on bass. And
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was literally, I think, like I think it was their second show in San Francisco, and like their maybe their fourth or fifth show as a band.
Holy
And
shit.
after that, every single time they played in the Bay Area, I would be there. The Keystone Berkeley, I think the old Waldorf. Yeah, I mean, it was, I was just a kid. It was just cool that they would let kids in to those shows. But it was a blast. And I just watched the shows get more and more people. I got to think that me and my friends helped make them big by spreading the word and getting more and people, to listen to them and come to their shows. And I mean, hey, it sparked the whole uh, Bay Area thrash metal scene for sure.
Yeah, that must have been a huge inspiration for you to like, ended up forming Defiance.
Right.
Um,
And James would give me advice and stuff. He came to all of our first shows and everything, which was really cool. I was like, this guy's like my idol, and just the fact that he was there was pretty cool. And of course, we sucked back then, but well, fuck, shit. I've been playing bass maybe 6 months. I mean, we didn't suck. Our drummer's
Wow.
always been badass, but we took us a while to get our singer. Uh, um, the right singer and everything.
So how exactly did the band form?
Uh, Me and Doug Harrington met Matt Vanderend, the drummer, and the original guitar player, Brad Bowers, at a high school party up in the Oakland Hills, and I was looking for a band. Doug was already in a band called Lazarus at the time, and they were like a big high school band, and but he was like my best friend, and so he was trying to help me find bands. So we met these guys, and they had a band, and they needed a bass player, and so I started jamming with them, and it was just the three of us. We didn't even have a singer, and we started doing shows instrumental, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, but our songs were so technical and had so many parts that people didn't care, and that's how it started anyway. And we went through various lineup changes after that.
Yeah, do you have good memories from that? Like you said you sucked at the beginning.
Well,
But those
okay,
first few shows,
we didn't suck. I say we sucked because we played, literally played without a singer. And no, I say we sucked. We were just kids. We didn't suck. Yeah.
well, yeah, you were
Looking back,
young.
there were a couple shows where the sound was just so bad, but no, we were actually pretty good, or else people wouldn't start liking us, compared to now. But none of those songs we play anymore. They were songs written by the original guitar player, and one of our first shows, the way I got Doug Harrington into the band was I couldn't get any shows because I didn't know anybody, and so I did know the guys in Testament or Legacy at the time, and their manager Alexis Olson. I just come into some money, and so I got this idea to hire them to uh, to do a show with us. So I think I it was $2,000, which was a hell of a lot of money back then,
Wow.
and I rented out Eagles Hall in Oakland, and I had a show where we supported Legacy, and it was in 1985, and it was one of our first shows, and it was fucking packed, and it went down in history as being called the Bloodbath because I don't know if you ever heard of it, but people still talk about to this day because some guy cut himself up and there was fucking blood everywhere.
Oh my God. No, I haven't.
And yeah,
Wow.
I took him to the hospital. He was okay, but it was a show that kind of put us on the map, and I ended up making all my money back and then some. It was way overpacked, and the place got trashed. And
What happened to him?
the
Just
guy,
cut it.
well, there was this table, like a fold out table in front of the stage, and he started busting it up and cutting himself. I don't know how he did it, but he had gashes all over his arms and his body, and like these open wounds. And luckily, Kaiser Hospital was right down the street. And I said, dude, you got to come with me, man. I took him to the hospital and dropped him off at emergency. I never
Wow.
talked to him again. I'm sure he was fine though.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I was fucking wild, man. It was just, yeah, for sure.
So
Long
how,
time ago.
yeah, man. So how soon after that did you guys get signed to Roadrunner?
Well, like I said, we went through some lineup changes. We got uh, Doug and Brad, the original guitar player. None of us got along with Brad, so but Brad didn't get along with Doug, so we had to fire Doug. We got Jim Adams as a guitar player, and then Jim didn't get along with Brad, so I got the pleasure of firing Brad Bowers, which was, I loved it. it was no, he was an asshole. We've talked about that. It's cool now, but we just did not get along. And so we got Doug back, and then we went through various singers. Paul Baloff actually sang at our first show.
Wow.
Yeah, which was pretty cool.
He
And
also was in like Hyrax, I think, for a little bit. Like he did like a couple shows with them. That's so funny. He did so much, I
he
feel.
was actually still in Exodus when he sang for us.
Wow.
He did it as a favor for me because he knew we didn't have a singer. He's like, I'll sing for you guys, and he literally wrote lyrics on the way to the show. It was
Wow.
like a half hour ride there, and he's like listening to songs, writing shit down, and I got a recording of it somewhere.
Really?
It sounded like crap though because it was in this warehouse and the PA sucked, and it was just a cool thing to do, you know.
Yeah, man. If you have a recording of that, definitely put it out there. I would
I
love to
do.
hear that.
I've got a cassette tape of it. Yeah, you know, I had to dig through all my cassettes. We've had two or three different record companies publish my cassette recordings of demos and stuff already. I got to pull that one out
Wow.
for
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
true, true. That's so crazy. So how did you guys get signed?
Okay, so we got our the first singer from the first album, Ken Elkington. We went and did a demo at Dragon. It was called Dragon Studios in Redwood City, and Ace Cook was our manager at the time. He was helping us out, and we he kind of slowly drifted into the manager position, and he was also roadie for Testament. So before we even had a chance to mix the demo, we slapped together a quick board mix of four songs from the demo and gave it to him. He went to Europe with Testament, and he gave it. I think he gave it to a guy named Andre Verhusen, and who worked at Roadrunner, who uh, sent it to Monty Connor in New York and said, you got to find these guys. They didn't have a phone number. Yeah, the way I heard it was he talked to like four or five different bands called Defiance before finally getting a hold of me. Because there was I didn't even put a phone number on the demo, you know, it's whatever. And so he, to make sure it was really us, he actually flew out and watched us at practice and came to see us play a show and everything, which was pretty cool.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
What was the writing and recording process of Product of Society?
Well, those songs, we did four of the songs from the demo, and then once we got signed, we you know, just totally went into writing mode. Doug Harrington was the main songwriter back then, and he was like he wrote maybe 75% of the songs, and Jim Adams and me and Matt, you know, we were all it was all pretty much a collective process, and we just got it together, and then Monty wanted us to go to Canada to record with Jeff Waters, which is a whole nother story.
Wow. So how soon after did you start working on the next record?
Immediately after, because we after the first album came out, um, we did a few shows, and then we immediately found another singer, which was Steve Esquivel, and he was singing in Laughing Dead, and we knew we wanted this guy. Nothing against Kim, but he had some personal issues, and he wasn't really the guy we wanted. We were always had these singer issues up until then. And so when we did a demo with Steve and sent it to Roadrunner, and they fucking loved it, and so they're like, hell yeah, you know, and um we were in the studio less than a year later, recording
Wow.
Void Terra Firma. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Really cool. And I feel like it even went a little more technical. with the
Yeah,
second release.
it did. And um the if you've listened to both albums, the production is, worlds apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first album was not nearly enough crunch on the guitar, which was an issue we have with Jeff Waters. And a big, he won that argument, unfortunately. But then when we went to record the second album, there was some issue with the amp, and the guitar tones came out a little more distorted than we wanted. And Roadrunner had already sunk way too much money, and they weren't going to pay to redo the guitars. So we
Oh,
kind of,
wow.
yeah, had to deal with it the way it was.
Wow. So Beyond Recognition was supposed to come out in 91, right?
Yes.
So what happened there?
Um, well, I can see Steve was having some personal problems, and without going into too much detail, if he was here talking to you, he would tell you exactly what happened, but I don't feel it's really my place. He was just having some personal problems, and was not cutting it in the studio. Looking back now, we should have just made him finish. I should have just taken him in my house, and he was just not showing up on time, and was not prepared. And it hurt us because at that time, as you know, Thrash was like going out, Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and all those bands were coming out. And Roadrunner had planned to put this album out in 91 and to put us on tour with Sepultura in Europe. That was the plan.
Wow.
So when the album got delayed a year, they went and they signed Heathen and put them on tour with Sepultura instead.
Wow.
That is the story of what happened. And then, of course, we finished the album in 92, and it came out, and the album's, a lot of people say it's the best album we did.
Very good.
Really, yeah,
Yeah.
we're happy with it. But, you know, Thrash was on its way out at that time, unfortunately, for a while.
Yeah. Is that why there was such a long hiatus? Just because of the reaction to where music kind of like switched? It kind of went more grunge and less like metal.
Well, yeah, I mean, even bands like Exodus broke up, and Gary Holt formed a band called War Dance, and we Defiance broke up. I had a band called Under, which did very well. We almost signed with Metal Blade, and it was just like this whole new metal thing. Machine Head kind of helped pave that around here, and I love new metal music. I think it's killer, but I think that kind of faded out a little bit too.
Yeah, much different than Defiance because you got like like groove metal, and then you guys are more like proggy tech
Technical
metal. So
thrash,
definitely, yeah, technical thrash. So
very
um
different.
so that's what you were doing in the 90s. What were you doing up till 2009?
um, Raising a family. I took about 5 years off from playing music. We had yeah, like you said, in 2009. Well, what happened was we got back together and started writing music in 2005, 2006, with a plan of doing another album. As most people know, Doug Harrington got sick with cancer, and passed away halfway through recording that album. We had funded the first four songs ourselves and recorded it, and he was literally in the studio 5 days before he died trying to record solos. It
Wow.
was, yeah, it was. I don't know how he did it, but he died 5 days later, and how he could sit there, with looking like he was about to die, and recording was just heartbreaking to see. But after that, we submitted the songs to Candlelight Records, and they loved it, and they signed us, and we finished. We wrote a few more songs, and finish the album and put out the Prophecy, and I think later that year. Which
Yeah,
I love that
yeah.
album. I really love that album. It's too bad more people haven't heard it.
It's fantastic. I think it might just be because of the time plus the gap. It's such an amazing release. You guys have such a consistently good discography,
Thank you.
and like, I got into you guys with when everything was out. So I got to listen to everything fresh. And it's like you guys never took a break, you know. Even the
Right on.
Prophecy sounds amazing. And it is the latest release
Right.
of
It is.
2009.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Defiance it's done, the band?
We have we're actually working on new material right now. We have a new guitar player, Billy Garut, who is a local guy who plays. He's been doing all the shows with us that we've been playing the last couple of years, and we're working on new material now, and
Very exciting.
hoping to release something next year. I don't know if it's gonna. We have a couple songs we're working on. I don't know if it's gonna be a full album or an EP, but it'll. We're definitely releasing something next year.
It's the perfect time to do it because metal has had such a resurgence. Even Metallica, with this whole Stranger Things thing, their new
I know.
release, they're
Yeah.
they're it's really wild, that this was just like a Bay Area band, and now they like rule the world practically. Like they're more successful than the Who are right now. Than they're, I think they're maybe on par with Paul McCartney, but it's
Oh,
like
dude,
just
not quite, but close. Yeah, it's funny. My mom calls me up every now and then, and my mom's 80 years old, and she loves Metallica, and she remembers when James used to call the house, and she's like, "Look, he's on TV again." She loves James, and thinks that they are the coolest thing ever. And the fact that they are a household name now, and one of the biggest bands in the world, it's just blows my mind. I nobody thought that would have happened, especially them.
yeah.
It's just you never know. They innovated something new and fresh, and yeah, it's awesome.
What are your thoughts on like the current state of thrash metal right now?
I think it's great. I see it. We have a local Bay Area scene, which I kind of, I don't really listen to. I'm sorry, I haven't really listened to a lot of new thrash outside of the Bay Area, but we have a lot of local bands around here that play a lot, like Cultural Warfare and Project Mayhem. There's just all kinds of thrash bands around here that play all the time, probably too much. And yeah, ever since COVID, everybody just plays way too much. But
It's like fourth wave, I think, now of thrash
yeah,
metal.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, but yeah, there's a big scene around here still, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So you guys broke up in 2012, and Jim claimed that it was because of the music industry and just like what it's become. Um, I'd love to know your opinion on the 2012 breakup.
Um, I don't know if that's really that what may have been his reason, but me and Jim weren't really getting along at the time, for whatever reason. It probably more my fault than his, and it just wasn't really working out at the time, and I think we all needed a break. Um, that's really the best way I could put it, and it was really a good thing, to be honest with you. And we all took a step back. I went and he started another band called Severed Fifth, and I have another band called a doom metal band called Monster God. That yeah, I guess you've heard of it. That has been around for the last 6 7 years, and we have a pretty good local thing, and just released an album on Salt of the Earth
Yeah,
Records.
man. Which is awesome. I checked it out fairly
Oh, cool.
recently, and it actually kicks ass. This was supposed to be a doom metal show, actually.
Oh,
Um,
no shit. Okay.
yeah,
Right on.
but thrash metal guys just love doing interviews. I just really just doom metal guys just did not want anything a part of like doing any kind of interviews or podcast or anything. So I started reaching out to like thrash guys and they're like, oh hell yeah, yeah, we'll do it. So I'm like,
Wait,
fuck it,
what
you
the
know.
fuck's up with that? They don't want to do. I've never heard of that. That's weird.
Many of
Although,
them.
in both my bands, none of the guys want to do interviews. It's always me that gets stuck doing them. So, whatever.
Well, what made you want to like do a more doom metal
Well,
thing?
a few years, like 2017, I decided I wanted to start playing music again after taking a few years off. I mean, I never stopped playing. I was always sitting at home playing and everything. And my buddies, Mike Smario and Carl Casaloy had this. They were jamming together, and I've known them for years. And they posted some music they were working on Facebook, and I called them up and I said, "Hey, need a bass player?" And they're like, "Fuck yeah!" And so I went down there, and uh, we clicked immediately, and they wanted to do. I honestly had never even thought about playing doom metal. That was all their deal. I came in with my typical groove or thrash metal riffs, which is what I was accustomed to. And they're like, no, we kind of want to do doom metal. And so that was a big adjustment for me. And so I went out and I got some new effects, and I got a wah and some cool distortion, and we tuned two steps down to C, and it's like it was really cool. It's really a lot of fun, to be honest with you. And we picked up a good local following, and people really loved it.
Yeah, it was so surprising listening to it because it's a completely different sound, but it's so
Yeah.
good. Were you into like doom metal at all before then?
Well, Black Sabbath is my favorite band ever.
Me too, man.
Other, yeah, yeah. I mean, there is no other, band bigger in my mind. But that's really it. I don't know if you call Acid Bath doom metal, but Acid Bath is like one of my favorite bands.
Amazing band. Maybe more like sludge, kind of
Yeah,
like Melvins.
right, right. And I like the
Yeah, yeah.
Melvins. Not a huge fan, but yeah, I'm listening to it more now that I'm playing it, and yeah, I mean, I dig it. It's the whole doom metal thing's getting a little saturated now because there's so many. It seems like all these older musicians are doing doom metal now. Maybe because they can't play thrash. I don't know. That's the
uh
joke around here, but no, I love it. I love doing both.
yeah, what was that writing and recording process of that first album? And really,
Uh,
and you guys only have a one album out,
we have an EP we did, which
EP.
I love, the EP, which is a 5-song EP, and which was released a couple years ago, and then we released the album just like 8 months ago. The writing process is just all three of us, working on music together, and coming up with riffs and bringing them to the table, and that's pretty much it. We started from scratch, and just went from there. Yeah, I mean, Mike, the singer, writes all the lyrics.
Cool, cool. What's the status of Monster God?
We just did a show 2 weeks ago, and we're
Cool.
going to take a couple months off because I'm busy with. I've got two other bands going on right now. You know, which I'll mention in a minute, and uh, we just been going at it for like 7 years hard. So, we're just gonna start playing live again next year and writing some new material and everything.
Cool. Yeah, this is like maybe one of the busiest you've like ever been in your life, it sounds.
Definitely, I've got I had a show with Monster God. I mean, I'm not touring or anything, but yeah, I was definitely busier in the late '80s, early '90s with Defiance when I was touring and everything. But it's weird practicing basically 40 songs, with three different bands, one weekend, the next weekend, the next weekend, all with different bands. I've got a cover band I'm doing, um, which is called Unearthed. And we just did our first show with Zetro's um, AC/DC tribute band. And
Nice.
it was packed and went over really well. We have this a female vocalist. Her name's Caroline Deminghoff. She's badass. But we do mostly like Ozzy and Sabbath and some Jefferson Airplane, some older stuff, and Judas Priest and
Cool.
stuff like that. So that's something I'm having a lot of fun with.
Wow. So you're really going between like three different genres right now.
Yeah, and I
Because like
like
you're
it that
doing
way.
like classic doom metal, like like tech thrash.
Right, right.
um
Yeah.
so what is so you're saying that you're working on material for Defiance right now. How deep into that are you?
Um, Actually, we have like a couple of songs written, and we had to stop for a little while. Our drummer lives in New York, and that's kind of been an issue. He is lead percussion for the play Wicked. I don't know if you've heard of Wicked. It's a
Oh,
Broadway
the
play.
the yeah, the Wizard of Oz
Right, right.
thing. Yeah.
So, which is a pretty nice gig, and so he takes time off to fly out here for shows and to work on material. So, as soon as the show's over, we don't have any more shows set up for a while, so we're gonna get back into it. And there's like 3 or 4 songs written that we haven't decided which ones we're gonna use.
Wow. So your drummer's on Broadway.
Right.
Wow.
He's one of the best drummers in the world. He's definitely a badass.
Insane. Well, that makes me very excited. Really looking forward to it. Would you guys ever like do a mini tour when this eventually does come out?
Yeah, we actually just we had a mini tour set up for November in Europe, and we had to cancel it at the last minute just due to scheduling issues. So, and also because we decided we wanted to put out some new music before we do any touring dates. But yeah, we've had offers, and it's harder now that we're older and everything, and everybody's got regular jobs and everything, so it's a little harder, but still, we can all break away for 2 or 3 weeks to do a tour.
Totally. Really looking
it'll
forward
it'll
to it.
happen it'll happen next year. Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Awesome. You might not reach the East Coast, but it'd be awesome if you guys did.
We just played last year. We played at the Milwaukee. um
Death Fest or whatever.
it was the Blades of Steel Metal Fest with DRI. We've been doing shows
Oh,
with DRI.
awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was sold out. Yeah, we have a lot of fans in Milwaukee. It was great to go back there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, as we wrap up here, what's the best way for people to just like stay updated with everything you're doing?
Just go to the Defiance Facebook page, because we keep it pretty well updated on what we're doing.
Cool. Well,
It's
Mike,
just
thank you so much
yeah, no
for
problem.
doing this.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah, yeah, really happy. I'm Brandon Battick, and this is Disturbing the Priest.